Hello, 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 hello. It has been a minute. How you doing? I'm Marie Dene, the creator of the Curvy Fashionista, your plus size fashion resource destination. It's been a minute, and we've had a lot of things happening. We're working on some really amazing things behind the scenes. So I'm really excited to be back because I've missed y'all. I hope you've missed us too a little bit, right? So as you're tuning in, do me a favor. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Drop a comment, say hello. So if this is your first time tuning in, we do these Speaking of Curve live interviews with various business owners, designers, influencers, people on the business side of Plus to introduce them to you. We started this at the top of Rona as a way to show support to other business owners because the Plus indies, the small businesses, they're the lifeblood of the plus size fashion space. So I wanted to create this series so that we could get to know other business owners. You can hear their story, you can support them, and make sure that they end up on the other side of Rona, right? Like, so that they're here and we're like living and being able to shop all the different plus size brands, support all the different people. So, hello, Lisa from Denver. So as you're tuning in, say hello, don't be shy. Share, invite your homies if they're looking for a new brand to support because we've got a designer in the house today. So don't be shy, like say hello, come and talk. Hello, Rashida from Brooklyn. So we've got people from all over the place. I don't even think I've been to Colorado. I got family members in Colorado though. Okay, so today's guest, right? I'm really excited because I happened to meet them on Clubhouse and listening to them talk. And I was like, yo, like you should drop us an email. And they were like, okay. And then they sent us an email and then we featured them, right? So I love just discovering new designers. I know that you do too, especially contemporary, forward, fashion forward, like real innovative. And they're from the West Coast. I'm a Cali girl here in Georgia, so anything LA, West Coast is going to speak to my heart. So do me a favor, you guys, and well, hello, Melissa and Regina. Hey, girls, thank you for dropping comments. Do me a favor and welcome Miss Tracy from Sante Grace. Hello, Miss Tracy.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm terrific. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for waking up hella early. I know it's early on the West Coast, so thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
Girl, I'm here.
Listen, sometimes that's all we can do. And sometimes putting a smile is like, is a force. It's a force, right? Like you got to just like push yourself a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
So we got Jen from Oregon. Oh, Giselle says, hello, Miss Tracy. So like,
hello, G. Hello, G.
Oh, you know her. That's her homie? I love
That's
it.
her homie. She has a plus size boutique too. So click on to Giselle. She has really cute, fun, sexy kind of stuff.
Look at you showing support. Like
Always.
Shout out to Miss Giselle for tuning in. Make sure you send us a little note so we can get you on next. Okay, girl? Here we go. All right. So, Sante Grace. For those people who aren't familiar, can you do us a favor and tell us a little bit about the brand? Because you had a very interesting thing and you launched your brand in the middle of Rona. So we're going to get to that in a second. But for those who aren't familiar, give us a little blurb about your brand.
Sante Grace is accessible luxury. So I wanted ladies who are from size 14 to size 30 to have the experience of wearing rare and fine silks, cashmere, hand-tooled leathers. All my life, it's been about crying in the fitting room and going to Barney's or Saks or what Lord and Taylor with a girlfriend, and they have an arm full of clothes, and I have a scarf. And I said, no more. I get to go to fashion shows like, Gucci and YSL. And I said, those are the clothes that I want. And if they don't make them in my size, I will.
Come on with it. Like, and that's, I love that we're having more entrance into the contemporary higher end space, like that that gap right in between there, because like for the longest time we only had like the fast fashion box and some contemporary, right? And so now we have like a lot of different brands, more options in different spaces.
We
And
finally
so
have a bridge. We have a bridge line.
we have a bridge, thank you. And you know, so I was gonna say that, but I was like, I don't know, because like that's my retail background, so I totally understand where you're coming from with that. So yes, so we have that bridge between. And so for you mentioned silks, hand tooled leather, you mentioned cashmere. So in LA, tell us a little bit about, let's just take a step back to like when you started and why now.
So I've been dealing with this problem for a long time. You know, even as a young girl, when I wasn't plus, I was always bigger than everybody else. Bigger chest, bigger butt, you know, and my mom, the only clothes that I fit were for older people. And my mom didn't want me to wear those clothes because it made me look older than I was.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So clothing has always been a little bit of an issue. And I was following fashion as young girls do. And when I got old enough and I started gaining weight, I was able to hire people to make clothes for me. I always wanted to have my own clothing line. And, you know, life would get in the way.
Naturally.
So, yes, right. So here we are in the middle of Corona, and I'm working my butt off to sustain my A business. And I'm lying in bed, and literally, God said to me, you should start your clothing line.
Okay.
And I, you know, was like, okay, like if you're telling me to do it, you're about to figure out where this money's coming from, and
Who are you to argue?
you know, all of this stuff. So literally lying in bed, I rolled over. I bought the domain name at 3 o'clock in the morning. Sante Grace is named after my grandmother Grace.
Oh.
It's very bad French for Saint Grace. And my grandmother was the person who taught me to sew. And her feeling was, she was teeny tiny, but her feeling really was, you know, love the skin that you're in. Like, work to be happy today because tomorrow is not promised to you. So if today you wake up and you're a size 28, then go out and look great as a size 28, right? None of this, I'll buy some clothes once I lose some weight.
Right.
Or, you know, my family, we didn't live that way. So I bought the domain name, and then I started moving. And I was very fortunate to meet a woman named Jen Wilder along my search.
Amazing, and we love Jen over here. Jen is Boo. Jen is Bae. If you guys don't know who we're talking about. So Jen Wilder, she has a crazy background in a lot of technical design. She's literally designed a lot of the pieces you wear from some of your favorite fast fashion brands, retailers. Like Jen, that's her jam. But we've had her as a guest on Speaking of Curves because she also runs the Plus Bus with Marcy, and they have like that's like secondhand. They have events. They had like a drag card bingo or something. Like I was like,
Yes.
oh my god, that's so much fun. So that's Jen. So you have been blessed with Jen. Okay.
So I met Jen, and I had all of these crazy criteria, right? Like I want the brand to be sustainable. I want the brand to be about luxury. And the first order of business is I want to make some of my favorite items that I've never been able to find in my size. And Jen, and when I met Jen, she was like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. They're like, okay, are you hearing me? She's like, yeah, when do you want it? I was like, okay, pretty white girl, we could do business. So, so yeah, so Jen, you know, Jen does everything at the company too. She's my touchstone. So like,
I love her, and
this
that's
jumpsuit that I'm wearing, this flight suit. If you guys are fans of The Clash, and you've ever seen the Rock the Casbah video, I always wanted that flight suit that Joe Strummer is wearing, and now we have it. We have it in wash silk, and yes, and canvas and
let me,
Cooper.
let me just tell you. So you mentioned wash silk, and immediately what came to me is like a silk habitat that DKNY used to do. Ma'am, I know my stuff.
Do you know we have silk habitat caftans coming out for
I
summer?
mean, so I remember, so they have this like stripped ribbon, silk habitat, fitted kind of like a skirt, right? It was a maxi skirt. And I remember at that time, I think I was like 14, 16. I was like right on the edge, and I was like trying my hardest to like shimmy my behind into this like silk habitat skirt. Ooh, I was trying. And so, but because like when you have access to these luxe fabrics, when you have access, like you just feel walking around feeling like $1,000,000. It just changes your disposition, your shoulders fall back, your head is held a little higher. I mean, so having access, you said you created accessible luxury. And so for those of you guys who are just joining us, I'm here with Miss Tracy. She's the designer behind Sante Grace, a relatively new, contemporary, accessible luxe high-end brand. She's based in LA, and she's created a sustainable plus size brand up through a size 30, y'all. A size 30, okay? And one thing you will see immediately, I dropped the link in the comments, is she actually gives us representation of different size models. So you're going to see the fuller figured, fuller belly, darker skin model paired with an hourglass and a tall. You're going to see the diversity. You're going to see it all, right? The things that we've been asking for. So as you're tuning in, make sure you say hello. Make sure you, if you have questions for her, go ahead and key those up, because we're here, we're talking with her, we're getting to know more about the brand and her journey. So you found Jen. You woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, bought the domain, you found Jen. Now what?
So Jen, I was like, okay, the production is handled and it's going to be done at the quality level that's important to me. And also that the sewers, the pattern makers, all of those people will be paid a living wage. Because that's the other thing in the fashion industry.
We've got sustainability, we've got fair wages. Okay, keep going.
We've got produced domestically.
Made in the USA. Okay.
So the next thing that I had to learn was, if I'm making great clothes, how do I get them out to my tribe? And I was on YouTube every day. I was getting about 4 hours of sleep a night because yeah, I'd be on YouTube watching these videos about how to create an online boutique, how to, because I have a little bit of a retail background and I worked for a fabric converter for many years. So I know the jobbers downtown and mills, but I didn't know anything about that. And after watching 1,000 videos and spending more money than I wanted to, I ran across a young Black woman named Jance Charté, who was running a program called the Boutique Accelerator. And it was all about, you want to start a boutique, whether it's in fashion, beauty, whatever, here's the baseline of what you need to do to have a real running legal business.
Okay.
And
go ahead.
And I took that class. And I mean, look, this whole thing is a faith walk, because as I was learning that, I was interviewing photographers, and you and I are speaking the same language. And my father, I grew up halfway in San Francisco and halfway in New Jersey. And for a while, my father supported himself as a photographer.
Okay.
So when I looked around the landscape of these people calling themselves photographers, anyway, so
we already know, we understand.
I ran into a young woman, Anna Ochoa, who right away, when I would say to her, less Stephen Meisel, more Helmut Newton, she's like, oh yeah, I got you. We were speaking the same language, and she had the ability. Yeah, and like the collection that we're coming out with in a few weeks is like, the website will be mostly editorial, so she knew where I was going. And all of these people, my team, they also knew when to hold me back. Like, left to my own devices, the website would look like Purple Magazine, but they're like, look, you're selling clothes to women who may have never seen these clothes before. They've got to be able to get up close and personal, and your audience may not know the difference between silk charmeuse and satin. Yep. So allow them to grow with you and understand. And so that's who we are and what we're doing.
That's beautiful. Now, I appreciate your breakdown of this. And if you guys are still with us, or if you're just joining in, we're here with Miss Tracy, the designer behind Sante Grace, a new affordable luxe, a new higher end plus size brand available up through a size 30. I mean, she's giving us sustainable, fair wages, made in the USA. She's giving us all these key elements that we rarely see all in one brand. And she's giving us a little like fantasy inspiration. I appreciate that. And diversity with models, that part too. So you've found your photographers, so let's rewind. So you woke up 3 o'clock in the morning, like Sante Grace, that's the name. You found Jen Wilder, you done found Anna Ochoa, you got your photographer. Now for those people who want to start a business, who've dreamed about starting a line, like you didn't have any of this given to you. You went searching for it. Can you speak a little bit to that? Because I think sometimes, when people start things, they're expecting, there's an expectation, there is a, oh my God, this is too much. Like, how did you navigate and stay encouraged?
So much, there's a ton of coaches available on IG, Clubhouse, YouTube, everywhere. And I'm sure other people do a great job, no shade to them. I really count myself blessed and fortunate that I ran into Jance, because it was a community that was formed. And that's, I think, in any endeavor, that's what you need. You need sisters and a team behind you. You need people behind you.
Sorry, Mocha is over here just like she thinks she sees someone outside. So
Mocha's doing her job.
I guess.
Mocha's doing her job.
We keep going. I'm sorry. We digress. Go ahead.
But you always, like any success, it's never that person alone, right? Yves Saint Laurent would have been nothing without Pierre Berger, however you pronounce his last name. You always have to have a great team around you. Yep. So,
but what about that person who doesn't have a team? What about that person? Okay, so then that leads to my next question, right? For that person who doesn't have a team, who knows they need a team, or who doesn't realize they need a team, because oftentimes there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I can do this. Like, I don't need nobody. I got this. Like, what do you say to those folks who are like trying to figure that out? And how long do you give yourself to build that?
You give yourself as long as needed, right? Like I said, Sante Grace is a faith walk for me. And Jesus didn't come to earth and say, I'm going to just spread the word of my Father and then go home. He was like, I need 12 people to assist in this endeavor, in my Father's work, right? So your company is no different. Whether they are contractors, whether they are employees, whether they are friends, or virtual assistant or whatever, you need some type of support system. No man does it by himself.
Come on.
And to think that you're able to do that is all ego and immaturity. You have a very, very successful brand. Before I did any of this, I knew who you were. I heard the Curvy Fashionista. And as fantastic as you are, what it does tell me is, as good of a business person as you are, you're a phenomenal leader. Because there's got to be one or two people in the background who are not on screen that are working similar hours to you to make it happen.
Actually, I literally started building my team this year. I had a whole production team for like my expos and my offline events. Oh, thank you, Leandra. Oh, I've had team members, but it didn't dawn on me that I needed a whole team for TCF. I literally I had no life. I burnt the candle at both ends. I had a
Yes.
whole breakdown in 2015. I had a whole breakdown. I lost friends. I've made mistakes. I have like this path has been hella rocky. So while you may see me face up and like wig on, and I'm like, hey boo, like on the backside of things, the day-to-day stuff, like that stuff is like, how am I gonna make this happen? And now like I've kind of like through Rona for me, like is allowed for me to kind of pare down, focus on foundation, understand like where's that next vision, where are we going, and really like tend to like the foundational pieces of business, because sometimes when you're growing you don't realize like how you've grown until you look back and you're like, holy hell, like look what I've done. And so in that journey, like even for me, like I literally am working on finding the right tools for foundation, for infrastructure, for people to like, because we have content, we have video, we have we're building and launching on the 1st of May, that weekend. We're launching are relaunching our site design with an additional component for people to engage and talk. Like y'all heard it first. I'm doing a little community, and it's going to allow like a lot of different elements that we use like on Instagram, Facebook groups, Twitter, like to kind of centralize all of that so that you can have like your hub of things. And so for me, I realized like I need a team. And so I took what I've learned from Expo and applied it. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, I need to not do that. I need to do this.
But sometimes you have to go through that. You have to stub your toe to find out what you need.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, I have another business, so I was able to apply some of that knowledge, but I call it, there's a lot of dirty dishes in the sink. Like you show up, like the website looks great, you make sure you do all of that, but people don't see is like, you haven't made love to your man in 2 weeks. You got dirty dishes. Your nails haven't been done, and you just try to compartmentalize your life a little bit and realize like it's one day at a time. Right. It's actually 1 hour at a time. Like don't beat yourself up. You only can do what you can do.
Sometimes it's 1 minute. Like it could be that granular.
Show up, do your best, learn, move on. Right.
That's right. Beautiful. Like I
mean, success is in the gap. We all have our goals, and it's really easy to measure where we were, where we are now. Really, truly, success is in the gap. Measure the distance that you've taken, and you'll find that that's encouraging.
That's amazing. And so for you now, like you said, you're getting ready to launch. So you've launched your brand. You've watched all these videos. You've built your team. Now what? Like now, and what happens after that? Like I know that we met on Clubhouse. Like how did you find Clubhouse, and how did you find it useful as a business owner?
So Clubhouse for me, I don't know if you can tell from this, but I'm actually pretty shy. And it allowed me to just kind of ear hustle, and affirmed, like I had a vision of who I wanted to be and what I want my company to be. And I would listen to other people in the struggle, and it would encourage me, yep, that's not me. That's not me. That might be an easier way to do it. That's not me. Oh, this is me. And here's the road that she's taken. And so it was just information, and again, about building community, and you can do it on your own timetable too, because Clubhouse is 24 hours.
Leandra said that you can't tell that you're shy.
I am.
But you're doing very well.
Thank you.
Very well, Tracy.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've launched this. So you've launched your line. You've utilized Clubhouse because that's how we met. And now you're getting ready for your second collection. What do you do next?
So business-wise, one thing that we launched is we're starting to wholesale because we were constantly being contacted by people, other people who own stores and asking to carry the line. We have our first brick and mortar. We're being carried by a store in Silicon Beach called Matt Argyle. And we have a meeting. Yeah, we have a meeting with Fred Siegel. So fingers crossed. Yeah, and so next, I want to do. I have some special. I have some special items I want to do. I want to do, yeah. I love what we have, and I want to have even a larger selection. But I also want to have Oscar and Grammy dresses available. Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. And then like Jen is totally like a great partner with that, especially with how her mind thinks. Like that's so exciting to see. So like I think the two of you guys are gonna be such a great pair, like in really ideating that. So I say go for it.
Thank you.
I'm gonna always encourage like taking those leaps because it's a vision. It's intentional. It's on purpose. What would you say to the designer, to the aspiring designer, to the aspiring business owner in regards to being given a vision and taking that leap?
So for me, life has been about blood in the toe shoes. I don't know if anybody knows that expression. And what it references is when you see a ballet dancer, she's like floating effortlessly on stage and leaping. And part of their mastery is that they make it look so easy. And then you go backstage and she takes off her toe shoes, and you see, even though she's been doing this 15 years, her feet are mangled, there's calluses, and they're still bleeding, right? So that's the difficulty that you feel in starting a business or carrying out your vision or doing business the right way and whatever. That's what it is. It's not supposed to be easy. If it were easy, everybody would do it.
I love that. I love that. That's very key. I hope you guys caught that. We're just gonna say that one more time. Go ahead, say it one more time for those who
If it were easy, everyone would be doing it.
But oh my God, it's so rewarding though.
If it's your mission, if it's your calling, absolutely, it's so rewarding. When you see a successful person, like a self-made successful person, whether that's Oprah, it's Elon Musk, it's whomever it is, they all have their blood in the toe shoes story. And I work in entertainment, and I'm very fortunate to be around people daily like Mona Scott Young or, Shonda Rhimes or whomever, who are legitimately incredibly talented, but it didn't come easy to them either.
Come on.
Right? They didn't wake up and there was somebody there that said, "Oh, do you want 7 shows on air? Sure, here you go."
And I think what's interesting too is like sometimes with social media, it's kind of like microwaved or kind of like given the idea or the process or the image that this journey is like just all sunshiny. Like you don't see the 1,500 images that I took of myself for that one like picture, right? You don't see all the things that led up to that. We don't see, and so sometimes like this is why like I'm asking you some of these questions, because like these are things that folks need to hear and understand in terms of part of their journey or respective to their journey, right? So if people wanted to connect with you, wanted to shop and learn more and see more of your brand, tell everyone where they can reach you.
They can reach me at santegrace.com. SANTE Grace GRACE.com.
And then are you on Instagram, Twitter?
I'm on Instagram at Sante Grace. We're on Facebook at Sante Grace. And we're on all of the platforms. And responding will either be me or my assistant. It's a small team, a small but mighty team.
Now, Leandra has asked a question. Leandra, who is this comment directed towards? How do I become part of your community? I would love to build my brand out a similar way and learn from you. Miss Leandra, if you could tell us who this question is for so that she can answer it. And so I'm so excited about what you've got, like what you've already given us, what you have coming down the line. So when you get your next collection, all the shots are done, like you need to send it to us and then tell us don't go live until X so we can go live in tandem with you. We're here to help and support and help amplify what you are working on, okay?
This girl is so dope because she did not have to call me up to this platform, and she always does. She would email me and I'd be like, I'm too busy to email, I'm pulling my hair out. She was like a stone cold dope journalist. What I'd like to do, if we can figure it out, is I'd like to take you via this platform behind the scenes, like in the factory, and maybe if you think it's interesting, show like, this is the pattern, this is how we, this is how
God, that'd be great. I think it'd be great for down the in like after May, after we wrap up the Cultivate Awards, after we wrap up the launch of the relaunch, like we can definitely talk about that, because like that is somewhere where we're thinking of going as a team anyways, of how do we bring different cool content. So this is in alignment. Woot. Tracy, the question that Leandra asked is for you. She wants to learn from you. How does
she could just hit me up, email me, DM me, and I'll call you. We'll figure it out.
Oh, I love that. Look at those connections. So you hear her, Miss Leandra? She said you got to reach out and say, hey, and then you can go from there. Thank you so much, Miss Tracy, for tuning in. Thank you guys out there for tuning in and showing love and supporting Miss Tracy of Sante Grace, affordable luxe plus size brand, available up to a size 30, made in the USA, sustainable, fair wages, ethical, all that fun stuff. Make sure you show her some love, santegrace.com. The URL is in the comments. We'll be back next week with another guest. And make sure you guys check out an RSVP for the Cultivate Awards, where we have our 3 finalists who will showcase their brands, and the winner will be announced, and they will get a capsule collection with Eloquy, a year-long mentorship, and a $10,000 award for their business. I'm Marie Dene, the creator of The Curvy Fashionista, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye, thank you.